Now, an interesting example of this is a recent listening project that we undertook where we observed patients suffering from lupus. And they're thought that their weight gain, which they attributed to steroid use in their treatment, was the major contributing factor to difficulties they found in their relationship or maintaining a relationship. Now, in contrast, we began to listen to their spouses or partners of people with lupus, and it became very clear that to them it was not the weight gain, but the erratic behavior that came along with the condition that was the major causing factor for this strain. Now, what does that say to us? Well, it gives us vital information that we can use as a communications company to begin crafting messages to this audience to really speak to them so that they understand that we understand where they are in their treatment for lupus. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see different vehicles by which we can deliver our message. So with your market research in place and your strategy formulated, you can begin to craft tactics for delivering your message to your particular audience. Now, there are a variety of mechanisms you can use to do this, and the types of advertising illustrated here on this slide are often best used for traditional internet marketing or in the social media setting. You know, for example, there's paid search, which is the online media vehicle with the broadest reach and frequency. Now, these ads can be served on nearly any kind of website, including social media websites. Now, the ads are generated by keyword searches by the user, either on search engines or through health sites or social media sites. They typically appear on the right-hand side of the website. I'm sure everyone's familiar with a sponsored link. There's also a more familiar method of advertising, which is display or banner, which can also appear on a variety of sites, including social media sites, contrary to popular belief. Now, there's also rich media and in-text advertising, which may be less relevant in the social media setting, but they can drive traffic to your website or your online community from wherever patients are engaging health-related information. Now, one of the big benefits of placing ads on prime social media networks is the ability to target. Now, Facebook, for example, offers sophisticated targeting tools, and it allows you to choose your target audience by gender, age group, geographic location, relationship status even, and also by keywords that are found within their profile, which is very interesting. And this could include activities, books or groups that they belong to. You know, for example, if they're diabetic and they belong to a diabetes group, or they have diabetes cookbooks on their Facebook, it's a nice way to understand and identify. Pay-per-click advertising on Facebook is likely to generate a better response than traditional banner, but it may not be as effective as Google AdWords. Now, in contrast, Google only allows contextual targeting. So what that means is that it'll pop up related ads to keywords in your search. But interestingly enough, in the recent months, Google has begun to add Gmail to its network on which ads can appear, and the advertising can be served within your email account based off of the content and keywords in your mail. So when moving forward, all social media offers a range of engagement options. Now, this chart demonstrates the scale of control. At one end, it emphasizes the creator's control over content, and on the other, it's the user's control. Now, when we look at the elements of social media and how they can fall along this scale, membership, access, privacy, content creation, user-to-user interaction, and the creator's ability to modify or change that content. Now, each variable can range from creator-controlled to user-controlled, and the level of control depends on both the creator of the social media platform as well as the user. Now, a great example of this is Mayo Clinic, and Mayo Clinic has their own channel on YouTube that does not allow advertising from outside promoters. As well, none of their content or any of the related videos other than Mayo content are allowed on this channel. Now, they do have commenting on these videos turned on so that viewers may add their own comments under each video, but this feature is easily turned off by the user, in this case Mayo Clinic, at any time. So likewise, there's blogs, and blogs can be monitored where the comments can be first read by the creator and then allowed to be posted to their blog. You can also have it unmoderated, so there's a free flow of information, or you can completely shut it off, so there will be no commenting allowed. Twitter is generally an open forum. Any member can follow any other member unless that member has decided to protect their tweets. Now, that member has control over who follows them and therefore creates this kind of closed community within Twitter. Communities can be open, and this allows the internet user to register as a user, or they can be closed where the creator of the site requires validation of certain criteria before the user is allowed access into the site. So, contrary to popular belief, using social media is not an all or nothing proposition. There's a great deal of flexibility that allows for adaptation to very specific recruitment problems that we see throughout the course of a study. So we've covered 3 applications of forming this continuum of listening, informing, and engaging when it comes to social media. Now, this chart summarizes social and new media tactics and where they fall along that scale. Now, at the least end of the spectrum, we have social media monitoring, the listening, the passive listening that we've discussed in an effort to gather information and do research. Now, at the most engaged end, we have social media networks. We have blogs and microblogs like Twitter, video sharing like YouTube, where the creator can listen to its members, begin to deliver messages to them, and also engage in either a moderated or unmoderated conversation with some or all of its community members. Now, tactics such as texting and direct email to community members allows for delivering messages, and it also allows for receiving replies directly to the creator and not the entire community. So now I'd like to pass it back to Bonnie, who'll start to dive into how do we market to this e-patient? How do we take the knowledge of social media tactics and integrate them into the marketing discipline?
Thanks, Matt, and thanks to Sandpiper for the question. I think Linda's going to work on a response, or has just posted, I think, a response to that, and encourage everybody else, if you have similar questions or you have an answer or response to Sandpiper's question, to log those in as the chat. Before we talk in detail about marketing to the e-patient for a particular study, let's make sure we have some shared understanding of who is the e-patient, which is a term that was coined first by Tom Ferguson of the e-patient Scholars Working Group. Today we define it as an evolution of the savvy healthcare consumer that started to emerge in the late 70s and certainly has continued through to today. And these patients use the internet to gather information, and then they are equipped, enabled, empowered, and engaged. And as well, they take this information and they use it to make decisions for themselves and decisions for other family members or loved ones. The e-patients is a subset of the internet user representing 61% of the total population and 83% of the online population. E-patients have a drive to seek knowledge, power, control, and connection. As I said, they're more proactive than passive, and they'd much rather have a collaborative relationship with their physicians than a more submissive relationship. And they do look to these e-communities in times of crisis. So in many ways, these characteristics are ideal for study participants. The e-patients are likely to become informed participants, and we all know the more informed the decision to participate, the more likely that participant is to comply with study requirements and stay throughout the study. But they also help us by extending, through sort of online word of mouth, information about the research program. The flip side of that coin is that those same traits can be considered disadvantages if people are concerned about patients sharing their experiences, whether they're positive or negative, and some of the disclosing of information. One of the things that we're also tracking is how do we differentiate among e-patients versus non-e-patients that are online. And interestingly, the e-patients are 3 times more likely to use social media in all the different formats that Linda and Matt talked about than those counterparts that are on the internet but don't look for online health information as a significant portion of their time online. 59% of e-patients have consulted blogs or hospital reviews or reviews about doctor performance, podcasts, and 20% of e-patients have actually posted comments or photos or audio or video. And then not only are they engaged, but they put this information to good use, and we're seeing real changes in trends on how satisfied they are with the information, the health information that they get online. 60% of these e-patients say someone they know has been helped by following medical advice or information they found on the internet, and that's up from 31% when the data began to be collected in 2006. Yet only 3% of these e-patients say they or someone they know has been harmed by following medical advice or health information on the internet, and that number has remained stable since 2006. So before we consider which of the different social media or online media tactics to consider, we need to look at those categories within the context of all media usage. So in this slide, you can see in the upper left-hand side a box that breaks down the population in age cohorts. And in general, we're all using a lot of media, and there's not huge differences in the amount of time that we spend interacting with media. There are significant differences based on our age cohort, which media we turn to first. And while it's still true that all of us rely first on television, you see that's only 40% of people in that 18 to 34-year-old age group, rather, you spend 40% of their time on TV, and they're close to 30% of their time on the internet. So determining the best mix of media to reach a particular patient audience, remains a science. And using social media alone is rarely the answer.